The night was unusually calm in the small town of Evergreen Hollow. Soft silver moonlight shimmered over the rooftops, and a gentle breeze passed through the tall maple trees that lined the main street. But inside a small wooden house at the end of Willow Lane, 12-year-old Aidan Rivers couldn't sleep. He lay awake, staring at the wooden ceiling beams, listening to the gentle ticking of an old brass clock beside his bed. Something felt different tonight, something in the air, something he couldn't explain but could certainly feel. Aidan had always been curious, imaginative, and slightly restless. His mother often said he carried the spark of wonder, a trait he had inherited from his father, who disappeared mysteriously 5 years ago during an expedition. No one knew what happened, but the last note the family received said only a few strange words. The forest calls. If anything happens, follow the lights. Aidan never understood that cryptic message, but for the first time since his father vanished, the words began echoing in his mind, almost as if whispering directly into his ears. Follow the lights. Aidan sat up slowly. The room felt colder than usual. He turned his head toward the window, and then he saw it. A faint green glow flickered between the trees at the edge of the forest behind the house. It was not the glow of fireflies, nor the reflection of any lamp. It pulsed like a heartbeat. Aidan's heartbeat quickened to match it. He pushed off his blanket, slipped on his jacket, and quietly tiptoed toward the window. The glow flashed again, brighter this time, almost as if acknowledging his gaze and calling him toward it. A chill ran down his spine, but it wasn't fear. It was something else. Recognition. As if the forest had been waiting for him. He quietly opened his bedroom door. The house was silent, except for the distant hooting of an owl. His mother was asleep. His younger sister Mia was dreaming peacefully. Aidan hesitated for a moment, but the glow flashed once more. His father's message echoed louder than ever. Follow the lights. He grabbed his small leather backpack, tucked in a flashlight, a notebook, and an old compass, once his father's, and slipped out of the house into the cool night air. Outside, the scent of pine needles and damp soil greeted him. The moon hovered like a silver guardian above the treetops. Aidan approached the forest's edge, his breath visible in the cold air. The green light shimmered deeper inside, almost teasing him to come closer. "Okay, I'm coming," he whispered under his breath. The moment his shoe touched the first patch of moss inside the woods, the entire atmosphere shifted. The trees rustled even though the wind had stilled. The air buzzed like faint magic. For a second, everything around him glowed faintly, leaves, branches, even the ground, before settling back to darkness. "What was that?" Aidan muttered. He took out his flashlight, but before he could turn it on, something unusual happened. A trail of glowing footprints appeared on the forest floor, tiny, delicate, shimmering with emerald light. They looked fresh, almost like they were appearing in real time, one after another, leading deeper into the forest. Aidan's eyes widened. "Is someone guiding me?" His father's words whispered again in his mind. "Follow the lights." Aidan inhaled deeply and began walking. With each step, the forest seemed to sense his presence. Branches parted on their own, clearing his path. The air smelled of wildflowers, though no flowers were in bloom this season. The deeper he walked, the more alive everything felt. After several minutes, he reached a clearing, and then he froze. At the center stood a massive ancient oak tree, easily older than the town itself. Its trunk glowed with golden veins of light, and its leaves shimmered like polished emeralds, even though there was no wind. Aidan stepped closer, mesmerized. But before he could touch the tree, he heard a soft voice behind him, gentle, musical, and unlike anything human. "You came. We've been waiting for you." Aidan spun around. A young girl stood behind him, though calling her a girl felt strange. She looked human, but her eyes glowed with silver light, and tiny specks of luminescent dust floated around her like drifting stars. She wore a long moss-green cloak, and her hair flowed like liquid night sky. Aidan stumbled back. Who are you?" The girl smiled warmly. "My name is Lyra, guardian of the Eastern Glade, and you, Aidan Rivers, you are the one chosen to enter the magical forest." Aidan's breath caught. "How do you know my name?" Lyra stepped forward, her glowing feet making the moss illuminate beneath her. "Because your father told us you would come, and because the forest has been calling for you since the day you were born." Aidan's heart pounded in his chest. The glow from the tree pulsed as if responding to Lyra's words. "Chosen? Magical forest? What do you mean?" he asked, his voice trembling. Lyra extended her hand toward him. "Step closer. There is much to see, much to learn, and the journey has already begun." Aidan hesitated, but curiosity outweighed fear. He took a deep breath and stepped toward her. The moment his hand touched hers, a wave of warmth and light surged through him. Suddenly, the forest transformed. Trees towered higher than ever before, their leaves shimmering in hues of emerald, gold, and silver. Streams of crystal-clear water wound around roots and rocks, glowing faintly as if lit from within. Strange, ethereal creatures darted among the branches, tiny winged beings that looked like living sparks of light, fox-like animals with fur that shimmered like liquid gold, and birds with wings painted in colors he had never seen. "This is incredible," Aidan whispered. "And it is only the beginning," Lyra replied. "Every step you take here will reveal secrets, challenges, and wonders beyond your imagination. But remember, the forest tests those who enter. You must have courage, heart, and the spark of wonder. Only then will the forest share its deepest mysteries." Aidan nodded slowly, feeling both awe and anticipation swell within him. He glanced at the glowing footprints now leading even deeper into the forest. I'm ready," he said. Lyra smiled, and the forest seemed to respond with a gentle chorus of rustling leaves and melodic whispers. Together they began to follow the luminous path, the magical forest welcoming its newest traveler with open arms and countless secrets yet to be discovered. Aidan and Lyra moved deeper into the forest. The glowing footprints led them over winding routes, sparkling streams, and patches of moss that seemed to hum beneath their feet. The air was alive with color, sounds, and a faint, enchanting fragrance that reminded Aidan of dreams he couldn't quite remember. Tiny, winged creatures fluttered around them, leaving trails of light that danced like fireflies in the night. "Where exactly are we going?" Aidan asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Lyra looked at him, her silver eyes gleaming. "To the heart of the forest. It is the oldest part where the magic is strongest. But reaching it is not easy. The forest tests everyone differently. Some must face fear, some must solve riddles, and some must confront truths they have hidden from themselves." Aidan swallowed hard but kept walking. He could feel the forest watching, assessing him with an invisible presence. The trees whispered in languages he didn't understand, and the glowing lights flickered as though guiding him not just physically but emotionally, teaching him to feel, to trust, and to see. As they walked, a sudden shadow crossed their path. From between two giant oaks, a creature emerged. Its body was dark but semi-transparent, like smoke given form, and its eyes glowed an intense blue. Aidan froze. "Do not be afraid," Lyra whispered. "This is a guardian of the threshold. Every traveler must face it. You must speak the truth of your heart to pass." The creature's voice was a soft, echoing hum, vibrating in Aidan's chest. "Why have you come to the magical forest?" it asked. Aidan hesitated. He had never voiced his deepest desire aloud. I want to know where my father is. I want to understand the magic he discovered, and I want to find my own place in this world." The guardian regarded him silently, then slowly bowed its head. "Then step forward, Seeker. Your heart is clear and your purpose true." Aidan felt a rush of relief and courage. He stepped forward, and the guardian dissolved into a swirl of silver mist, which merged with the forest floor. Lyra smiled. "Well done. Many hesitate here and some fail. Courage and truth are your first keys." They continued along the glowing path. Soon they arrived at a river that sparkled with liquid starlight. The water reflected not only their images, but also faint glimpses of possible futures. Aidan saw visions of himself growing stronger, learning incredible things, meeting strange and magical beings, and sometimes failing but always rising again. "The river shows possibilities," Lyra explained, "but it also reminds you, the future is not fixed. Choices matter. Every decision you make changes the path." Aidan felt a sense of responsibility settle over him. He had always wanted adventure, but now he understood that adventure came with weight, with consequences and lessons. Lyra pointed to a bridge made of intertwining vines and glowing flowers. "Cross carefully. This bridge chooses who may pass." As Aidan stepped onto the bridge, he felt it bend slightly under his weight, reacting to his emotions. Doubts tugged at him. What if he couldn't find his father? What if he failed? But he took a deep breath, focused on hope, and continued. The bridge shimmered with brighter light as he walked, recognizing his determination. Midway across, the wind whispered secrets, ancient stories of the forest, of beings that once lived freely in realms of pure magic, and of heroes. The next morning in the enchanted forest began with a soft glow spreading across the treetops. The leaves, shimmering like emerald glass, caught the early sunlight and refracted it into tiny dancing rainbows that drifted through the clearing. Arin woke first, stretching as the warm golden light brushed gently over his face, reminding him of childhood mornings in his village. But this forest had its own heartbeat, something ancient, living and aware. Elara was already awake, sitting on a fallen, moss-covered log. She was studying a cluster of floating lights that hovered around her fingers. The lights twirled like curious fireflies, but they were not insects. They were sentient glimmers of the forest's magic, drawn to her for reasons neither she nor Arin fully understood. "You're getting better at controlling them," Arin whispered, stepping closer. Elara shook her head. "I'm not controlling them," she said softly. "They're guiding me. They want us to go somewhere today. I can feel it." Before Arin could respond, the ground beneath them gave a gentle tremor, like a massive heartbeat pulsing through the earth. The treetops rustled, though there was no wind. The forest was speaking again. From the shadows behind them emerged the soft, rhythmic padding of paws. Lorien, the guardian wolf of the Emerald Path, approached with his usual majestic grace. His silver-white fur shimmered as if woven from moonbeams, and his crystal blue eyes reflected both age and wisdom. "You both have awakened," Lorien said in his deep, calm voice. "The forest has chosen your next step." Arin exchanged a glance with Elara. "What step?" he asked. Lorien tilted his head upward. The Whispering Ridge. A shiver ran down Arin's spine. They had heard rumors of the place. Even among magical beings, Whispering Ridge was considered dangerous, a place where ancient voices echoed through the stones and illusions preyed upon the minds of travelers. Elara stepped forward, her expression fearless. "Why do we need to go there?" Lorien walked in a slow circle around the clearing, his presence commanding respect. "Because the answers you seek about your past, your powers, and the truth behind this forest lie at the ridge, but you must be prepared. The ridge reveals not the world, but your deepest self." Arin felt his breath catch. His deepest self was something he wasn't sure he wanted to confront. Still, the journey had begun, and there was no turning back. The trio started walking, heading north through dense clusters of glowing blue ferns. Strange birds with crystal feathers fluttered above them, singing melodies that sounded like a blend of whispers and chimes. As they walked deeper into the forest, the light dimmed and the trees shifted in color, from green to deep indigo, then to gray, as if slowly draining of life. "Why is the forest changing?" Aaron asked. "Whispering Ridge affects everything around it," Lorien said. "Even miles away, its magic distorts the land." The path narrowed until it wound between tall stone pillars covered in runes. Elara brushed her fingers across one of the runes, and it glowed faintly. "These were written by the first guardians," Lorien explained. "Long before humans or my kind existed, they shaped the forest with their power." Aaron stared. "Do you think they knew we'd come one day?" Lorien's eyes softened. "They knew someone would. Whether that someone is you remains to be seen." Just beyond the pillars, the land rose sharply. A jagged ridge of silver-grey stone jutted into the sky, its peaks hidden in swirling grey mist. The air felt colder, heavier, almost metallic. Elara took a step forward, and the mist shifted, forming a towering archway of cloud and light. A deep voice echoed from within the mist. "Enter, if you seek truth." Ilara's breath trembled. Aaron stepped beside her, gripping her hand. Lorien bowed his head. "I cannot go with you. The ridge only allows mortals with uncertain destinies to pass." Aaron protested, but Lorien raised a paw. "This part of the journey is yours alone." The mist thickened, forming swirling images, faces, memories, shadows of the past. Elara took one more breath. Aaron nodded. Together they stepped through. Instantly the world shifted. Aaron found himself standing on a floating platform of stone surrounded by endless sky. The wind roared, but he felt no cold. Before him appeared flickering images from his childhood. His parents, his old home, moments of fear, of loneliness. Yet something was wrong. Behind the memories, a shadow moved. Meanwhile, Elara stood in her own realm of illusion. A long hallway of light stretched before her, lined with mirrors that reflected not her face, but versions of herself. Some younger, some older, some twisted, some radiant. Each version spoke in whispers. "Who are you? What are you? Why were you chosen?" The ridge was testing them, but the real danger lay not in the illusions, but in the presence observing from the depths of the mist. A being neither friendly nor hostile. A being that had existed before the forest was born. A being that had now taken interest in Aaron and Elara. Its voice vibrated through the ridge. "At last, they have come." The world inside the Whispering Ridge shifted once more, twisting like liquid glass, reshaping into a landscape that felt neither real nor illusion, but something in between, the realm of truth. Aaron stood silently on the floating stone platform, the weight of the illusions pressing into him like invisible hands. Shadows flickered around him, memories he thought he had forgotten, fears he tried to bury, and moments of pain he never intended to face again. A faint whisper curled through the air. "Aaron, do you know who you really are?" He spun around, expecting a figure, but nothing stood there. Only more mist, more memories, more emotions tearing at the edges of his mind. The voice returned, deeper this time, echoing inside his chest rather than the air. "Truth is not what you see, truth is what you run from." Aaron's breath grew heavy, his heart pounded. The mist in front of him parted, revealing a scene from many years ago. A young boy standing alone at the edge of a burning village. Flames rose high, smoke spiraled into the sky. Screams rang through the air, and the boy, Arin stood frozen, powerless. "No, not this memory," Arin whispered. But the ridge did not listen. The illusion sharpened. Figures ran past him. Neighbors, children, animals, all fleeing, all crying for help. Arin reached out, but his hands passed through them like mist. He watched helplessly as his younger self trembled, tears streaking down dirt-covered cheeks. Arin could hear footsteps behind him, slow, heavy, weighted with sorrow. He turned. It was the shadow he had glimpsed earlier, now clearer, more human-shaped, but its features blurred like smoke. A silhouette of regret, a shape made of sorrow. It spoke in a voice that resembled his own, but older, deeper. "You were chosen that night, Arin, not saved." Arin stepped back. "Who are you?" The shadow extended a hand. "I am the part of you that remembers everything you try to forget." Meanwhile, in her own illusion realm, Ilara walked through the endless hallway of mirrors, each one reflecting versions of herself she had never seen before. The younger version of her whispered fearfully. The older version glared with pride. The twisted version, a darker Ilara with glowing eyes, smirked with bitter amusement. Ilara clenched her fists. "I'm not afraid of you." The darkest reflection tilted its head. "You should be. I know what you've hidden even from yourself." The mirror rippled. The dark Ilara stepped out of the reflection, becoming solid, walking toward her. Ilara stumbled back, heart pounding. "What are you?" "I am what you could become, if you fail." Ilara tried to summon the floating lights, the forest's magic that always responded to her, but here, inside the ridge, nothing came. Her palms remained empty, powerless. The dark Ilara smiled. "This place strips you to your core. It knows your secrets." The hallway darkened. The mirrors began to shatter one by one, the sound echoing like thunder. Every shard reflected Ilara's face, afraid, uncertain, shaking. The dark reflection leaned in close. "Do you know the truth about your power? About why the forest chose you?" Ilara swallowed hard. Because I'm connected to it." The dark reflection laughed softly. "No, you were bound to it, long before you were born." Ilara's eyes widened. "What do you mean?" The reflection lifted a hand, and the mirrors behind it formed a single massive image, a tall, robed figure standing beneath a storm of magical energy, placing a shimmering mark on the forehead of an infant girl. Ilara gasped. The infant was her. The dark reflection whispered, "You were marked by the Ancient One, not chosen." Back to Arin. The shadow stepped closer. "You think your journey began when you entered this forest, but it began much earlier. You survived the fire, not by chance, but by someone's command." Arin shook his head. "That's not true. My parents saved me." The shadow hummed, and the illusion changed again. Now Arin saw a new figure among the flames, a woman cloaked in emerald robes, her face hidden, her hands glowing with ancient forest magic. She wasn't part of his memories. At least, he thought she wasn't. The cloaked woman lifted the young Arin in her arms, shielding him from fire with a magical barrier. She whispered something to him, words he couldn't remember. Arin gasped and stepped forward. "Who is she?" The shadow replied, "Your true beginning." Arin could barely breathe. "Why don't I remember her?" "Because your mind was sealed, memories locked away, power dormant." "Power?" Arin echoed. The shadow raised its hand, and a streak of green energy shot from the ground, wrapping around Arin's arms like vines, gentle, not painful, but heavy with meaning. "You were born with a piece of the forest inside you," the shadow whispered.